investigative journalism.
Is the NRA imploding?
Providing relevant analysis that makes you think.
Secret State Department documents, including evidence of U.S. war crimes.
Fact-finding reports you will not hear elsewhere. Democracy Now! Airs Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. on 91.3 FM, WBNY, Buffalo. Ready for radio that's challenging, innovative, and encouraging? Tune in, Living for the People.
This is L. Nathan Hare. Join me right here, 91.3 FM WBNY. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. after Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! We'll provide objective analysis regarding current issues. Call 878-5104. It's Living for the People on 91.3 FM WBNY.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is often laced into illicit drugs and used to make fake versions of prescription pills. You can't see it, taste it, or smell it. Suppliers mix fentanyl into their products because it's potent and cheap, and the dealer might not even know. Keep yourself and others safe by knowing the real deal on fentanyl. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Okay. Latinas make history every day. Okay. Can you read it for me? Well, how do you say this one? Latinas make history every day. Okay.
It's another episode of Community Conversations. We're so excited to be here. It is a Friday morning. My name is Talia. I am normally appearing in this space as a host for Talia Talks, but today I'm here with an amazing alumnus, community partner, and leader in the community, I think I will say. And I am having a conversation that we're going to call Community Conversations around some of the amazing things that we do on campus. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Julia Hamilton, the curator of the Steel Plant Museum of Western New York. I graduated from Buff State in 2018 with a degree in art history and philosophy, and then again in 2022 with my master's in museum studies.
So we are here at Buffalo State University. Stop playing with us. I will be literally saying that. I will literally be saying that for like the next year or so. But in all seriousness, we are super excited to earn the designation of being a university. So we are here in our student radio. We are at 91.3 FM WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative. Definitely make sure to tune in to the show prior, Mr. Hare, and then others who are on this amazing station. So it's so cool that you're an alumnus and you're here. So tell me a little bit about what your title is, where you work, and like why you're just like living your dream life.
Yeah, absolutely. I am at the Steel Plant Museum. I'm the curator, but the curator typically in a museum is in charge of creating exhibits and, taking care of the collection in the museum. However, my position is pretty unique because I'm the only paid employee at my institution. So the board, everybody is a volunteer besides myself. So I wear a lot of hats. So I do our PR, I do, typical curator duties, make exhibits, take care of the collection. I plan events. I am, working on doing outreach and making connections in the community and any other duty that I missed.
Well, hopefully some of that outreach is going to start here. Like, I want everyone to know about the Western New York Steel Plant Museum. As a political scientist and as a historian, like, I really realized, like, our steel industry here literally built America. Mm-hmm. Like, people don't understand that. And I know that you, obviously, of all people, are an expert on that and the beautiful, dynamic and diverse people that like fed into the steel plant like industry and all of the amazing things that we talked about. So I just want to recenter on something that you said that I think is really unique and part of why I think this show is valuable and our office is valuable. You are the only paid volunteer at an organization that I would say is absolutely sophisticated. I mean, the branding is flawless. Everything is just like, if you look like from the outside, like you are like an institution, like you are cultural. And when you look at Buffalo, like only places like Buffalo that have such a strong tie, I think, for occupation, economic, and then volunteerism, can you run a model like that? I mean, are you aware of any other place that works predominantly with volunteers in that way?
Actually, the entire building that the Steel Plant Museum is in is sort of under an umbrella institution called the Heritage Discovery Center.
Oh, how fun!
Which is like a bunch of other smaller historic societies, other little museums, all in this building. So when you come to the Steel Plant Museum to visit, you will also be visiting the Western New York Railway Historic Society. There is a Irish genealogical library, and you can like track your familial history if you have Irish immigrants in your family. There is a geology society for anyone who is.
I repeat, campus, there is a geology society.
If you think rocks rock, like definitely go there.
One of my proudest geologists is Heather from Big Big Table. Shout out to Heather. She is a geologist.
Awesome.
Y'all are not connected. I will introduce you. But
amazing,
yeah, we do have
amazing.
some amazing science scholars here. And
awesome.
Very seriously, having the privilege to be able to visit all of those different places at one time has got to be cool.
It's
awesome.
awesome.
I think for me, it's like this whole ecosystem of people who really believe in history as something that needs to be curated, because I think it informs business decisions. You have to know the history of business to be able to make good business decisions. So tell me, from the Western New York Steel Plant Museum perspective, what's coming up? How can people follow you? And then we're going to just talk about like, how are you founded? Who are the amazing people? Because I know there are a couple names who like made this come true. And just anyone who's listening, either in the comments or other places, whether it's during this broadcast or afterward, feel free to drop photos of your family if you're a steel plant family, drop the name of your steel plant that you guys were at, like just, rep your set, let us know. Because I know there's families out there that like that was the core of a lot of their family culture.
Absolutely. And just to sort of do another plug of the Steel Plant Museum.
That's what we're here for.
We have a steelworkers registry that we keep. So if visitors come and they have family members who worked in any of the steel plants in the area, you can see if somebody has added your family member's name, or you can add your family member's name. And we have an option, to do nicknames if they had a nickname, when they worked,
cool.
what their position was, anything like that. So it's a great resource and sort of a living document.
So why is that so important? Let's talk about how many people maybe worked in the steel plant industry. And again, when y'all have this conversation, either as a result of listening to this or processing it, we're talking about Western New York. So Julia, talk to me about the scope of places that your institution, your cultural holler represents. And like, maybe I know when we first connected, and hopefully this will be one of many interviews, you were telling me about people from like, Asia had reached out, like people from all across the world. So like, tell me, for the Western New York Steel Plant Museum and the communities that you curate stories for, how is that scope? What does that look like?
So we primarily, our collection and what we present to the public is based around Western New York. But I will say, you said it, that this built America and helped build the world in our backyard. So while we are really focused on Western New York, there are so many global and national ties, but we like to keep it, within this reign, because the steel roots are so deep in this community, and that's what we really, aim to highlight. So small, large, any sort of like fabrication or, metalworking or steel factories is what we go to represent.
That's awesome. I'm just really, really grateful that you took the time to be with us. I'm very proud that you're a Bengal. So talk to me a little bit about what your experience was on campus, and, I'm sure that you loved it, and kind of how that has informed your desire to want to work for an organization such as the Western New York Steel Plant Museum.
Yeah, absolutely. Originally I'm from Corning, New York, which is a very
let's go
very, very small town. So I came to Buffalo. Buffalo is the biggest city that I've ever lived in.
Can I add though?
Yeah.
I feel like Corning, New York is known for innovation in a way, like with the glass museum. Because my mom took me there. Yeah, we went there in Cooperstown. My mom was like this weird New York.
Awesome.
Like,
I love
we
that.
missed Seneca Falls, but we were at Cooperstown.
That's important too.
So Corning, you grew up there. Did you go to public school?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so, shout out. What's the name of your public school?
Well, it no longer exists, but it was Corning East High. Now it is and there was a crosstown West tie.
Okay.
They're all together now, so Corning Hawks. So I guess I'm a Hawk / former Trojan. So
We like the Hawks.
yes. So coming to Buffalo, it was the biggest city I've ever lived in, and I had always been an outgoing, bubbly, approachable person, and I came here and I just closed up into my little shell. And I was really homesick, and I really struggled when I first lived on campus. And then I, met friends, and I found the philosophy department. I'm going to give them a huge shout out to Dr. Blessing and Dr. Duffy. They have, and I think they still have it on campus, it's a program called Women in Philosophy. And because philosophy is a predominantly, male field.
Let Aristotle tell it. Shout out to him.
Yes. We tried, I kind of just fell into my group, and I met my friends, and I met people that impacted my life, and still in touch with Dr. Duffy today. I texted her, and we always catch up. So
I'm so proud.
Mm-hmm.
I also took philosophy classes, and I remember verbally disagreeing with everyone there and being like, this is what I came for.
Right. Yeah. It's fun. I don't know. It's fun to sort of suspend your personal belief for a second and try to put your mind into a different thought zone. And I think that helps in life, just to be able to work with people and work with, in the museum, with public, because everybody's coming from a different background. So definitely a good tool to adapt and learn.
I think for me, probably a lot of people wouldn't think philosophy and steel plant would go in the same conversation.
No.
But I think when I tell people, why do I want them to come to university? Why should they come and live on campus and stay with us and try to engage as a part of the community, which I think is a decision that we all make and one that we want to encourage. But it's because here is an academic exchange. Here is really still that liberal arts sense of, we have come here to discuss this idea, and we will all leave better because we've discussed it.
Yeah.
Whether or not we've agreed with each other, but something about our being and our opinions transforms in that moment. Right. And that happens everywhere on campus, which is why I love working here. And I would say probably even more so in the philosophy department. We all have our favorite departments, but I love that we have a center for creative imagination.
Yes.
I go places and I tell people that, and I'm like, please be in awe of us.
Yeah, I took a class in grad school in the with, I can't remember his name right now, but in the creative studies department.
Was it Dr. Puccio?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we will definitely link that class underneath.
It was amazing. I didn't realize that. I always considered myself a creative person, but I didn't realize that I could become more creative and grow. And it's sort of tangible, and it's a skill you can develop.
And people write about it, and
it's amazing.
It's
beautiful. And
I think that goes to what is unique about Buffalo, because when I think about Buffalo, right, and I think about being blue collar and working class, I take a lot of pride in that. My family was a blue collar family. My mom was SEIU. She was in, the union for people who worked in the hospital. She worked at Children's. My dad worked at the holding center. Before that, he was a Teamster. So we were a union family. And my family made sure that we knew that that's where our benefits came from. Yeah. But they also made sure that we understood that being a worker person or a blue collar person wasn't indicative of the type of thought I had to have or what my mental capacity was. It was just, that was a reflection of the heritage of the people who were around me, and that could include big creative thoughts that affected and implemented the systems that those unions held up. So I just love the fact that you also took philosophy and you're the steel plant curator. Yeah. So tell me about, if you could just name, if you're listening and you're from someone, because, our students from all across the world, and maybe they're not as familiar with the region's history as I am, because I am a political scientist as I adjust my glasses. Julia, will you just, give a couple shout out to maybe some names of some factories or of some steel plant leaders or some places, even geographically, where traditionally that culture had a strong root?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest name people say is Bethlehem Steel. That was the largest company that was in our area. Also, Republic Steel was extremely important as well. And are you familiar with where the Tesla plant is?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there is a Tim Hortons there.
Yes. And that's right around the corner from the Steel Plant Museum, and sometimes I go there and get snacks.
Okay, you know that. They don't have peppermint tea, Julia.
No. But the Tesla plant is where Republic Steel was.
How cool.
Before that, it was Donner Steel. And before that, it was New York State Steel. So Tesla, although they're not making steel, there's still over 100 years of industrial history on like that physical plot of land, which I think is so cool and important for people to know that where you work and where you live is so important and changed the world.
Okay, also where you eat too,
Well,
because
yeah.
can I add, there's probably been a like a restaurant that's fed workers in that spot for so long. And I think that's the other thing, because people are like, well, what does it take to, reinvigorate the workforce, or what does it take to motivate people, and how do you balance everything? And I'm like, you have food that's made for the people that are there working, and have that food be reflective of what those people's lifestyles and wages and desires are. And I know there's just this like diner on the way in Lackawanna that I will go to, like I will drive to, and I don't leave the West Side a lot, because that's just like, I feel like real Buffalo food. Yeah. And I feel like it was made for the workers out there.
And I think, just going off what you said, food is community. And there's something, and I've noticed this, and I can't even put a word on it, but when other steel workers come in, and my board of directors is there, and they're the volunteers. So like, if you come and you meet them, those are steel workers. They worked for 30 plus years in a steel plant. And so they talk to somebody, and even if they didn't work in the same department or at the same time, there's still this connection of pride. And like, it's beautiful to really, just to this job. We don't think of it now. Like, I don't know. There's just something that people are so proud of, and it just has connected them for life. And it's beautiful.
Julia, it seems like you really love your job.
Yeah,
I do.
Something.
I love my job.
Everyone, this is Willie, my producer. Thank you. Willie, say something.
Guys?
What's your reflection?
Oh, no, I was just, she sounds like she really enjoy her job. I mean, still working. That's for me, that's not exciting, but she sounds like she loves her job.
I do. It doesn't feel like work. That's what my parents told me growing up. Like, just, if it don't, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life.
I mean, yes, like I feel that way, and that's why I love coming here. And that's why I'm so grateful for you, Willie. Thank you for giving us your time so that we can have conversations like these on campus. And thank you for talking about your experience as an alumni, because that's so important. We want people to come to the school and realize there's a strong sense of history here. The campus has been involved in the community since 1899.
I know, it's incredible.
Ask about us. That's also the year that Lafayette High School down the street opened, and they've been running continuously since. So
amazing.
We study over here. Not that our campus was located here, because this actually was a farm at that time. But what is now PS 198 International Prep was our building. So I think that you probably have a stronger sense of history than I do. But one of the things that I think is like super cool about this whole conversation, I was going to do a little research, but I decided to just kind of let the conversation flow, is like this idea, right? That when you and I were growing up, that the Rust Belt or that the steel plants were something that were dying or that were dead, or that wasn't going to be a source of inspiration, but that like our generation has come in and said, like, I am so proud of this, and this will be the foundation for whatever type of weird, George Jetson innovation that they come up with in between driving from Lackawanna to downtown, because I feel like innovation at the time that those steel plants were built, those were state-of-the-art facilities, were they not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they were, getting the technology as it changed, and in all of the artifacts, predominantly our collection has a lot of Bethlehem steel, just because that was the biggest one. So I'm, looking through things, and I see like just how hard they were a huge company, and like all their advertisements and all their different products, like I'm pretty sure they made mattress springs. Like I was looking and I saw a mattress advertisement. I was like, oh my god,
all the things that like, went into
just
the
like
steel went into.
Right. And so
and how many American babies
like
laid their head on that Bethlehem steel clothes. Don't play with us. Right. Buffalo.
And then when the plants closed down and a lot of the steel was like outsourced to China, all of the equipment went over there too. Like they just
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure. I don't know.
So then it must have been good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting off of that.
Yeah.
So, and then I think one of the stories that we need to tell, right, is the beautiful innovation that's created, one in the space, like literal, like I don't like to use the word skeleton, but infrastructure. Like I don't want to say our generation, but again, people who have come from being the children of seeing the transition of the use of these buildings. Like we will put a chalk wall up so quick. I just think that we're so inspired by the infrastructure, and honestly, that's motivating to me to see what some of my neighbors have done, like with silos and everything, like turning a place that people would look at and say, oh, you can't build community here, to be like, no, this is Buffalo. We will invite you in 3 weeks to an event.
Absolutely.
And you will. So tell me about your events, Julia. Tell me about like what are those events that people can fund or support or attend that can really continue conversations like the ones that you're having about the steelworkers?
Yeah, absolutely. So from March to December, we have a First Wednesday speaker series.
Oh,
so
how fun.
It's a free event. We sell pizza and 50-50 split club tickets. So you can actually come and learn something and perhaps walk away with cash in hand as a winner, which is fun. You
can't beat cash in hand in 2020.
No, cash is king, right?
Yeah.
And I try to invite different museums or other speakers, and they'll speak on a different topic related to Western New York, or we had an Italian cooking lesson once. So,
oh, how fun.
Yeah, so it's the first Wednesday of every month. Next month is June, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we are having somebody from the Niagara Aerospace Museum.
How cool.
Yes, so we are going to learn.
So appropriate. I'm screaming into the mic, Julia. Yes, that's so cool.
Yes. Tomorrow, actually, it's like a SPM on the road event. I will be at the Niagara Power Vista from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for another free event called Green and Steam. And it's about science, technology, arts, math, maybe I'm missing some letters, but, and sustainability. And
so cool.
So I learned all about modern steelmaking and how modern or American steel right now is actually like one of the cleanest steel making operations in the world.
I feel like we are the boys, like we always have been. I'm like, no, we're the innovators. Like this is our story. We're writing it. But it's just like when you talk about industries that affect millions of people, there's also sub industries, right? So Julia, what are some of those sub industries that were related to the steel plans? I know we talked about food, but there were civic organizations where they're not women's clubs, baseball leagues, like these were corporations that were kind of the heart of community, right?
Yeah. So I have in my office, I have a shelf of trophies. Unfortunately, not mine. They are baseball trophies, bowling trophies.
Let's go, baseball.
The steel workers. So, like, let's say you worked in the open hearth, and like you and your buddies are like, all right, we've got a bowling league now, and they go bowling, and so they aren't working, but their relationship just continues wherever they went. So they had baseball teams. There was a management club here, so you could go golfing and do all that if you were like worked in the office.
Why did my 6-year-old son ask me to take him golfing?
Oh my goodness! I'm envisioning like an adorable little polo, plaid shorts.
Wait till you meet him. He's totally his real self. But people of all different backgrounds golf in Buffalo.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the fun part.
I've been golfing once, and it was fun, but I don't know. I'm not very good at it.
Oh, he's
mini golf.
He wasn't a hockey kid, so I'm like, whatever. Play baseball. We'll call it even.
That's
so
fine.
There were baseball leagues. There's hockey. There's bowling. Where they're not women's clubs, because I feel like there's a story to be told about feminism in steel, and I'm here for that story. Ladies.
Yeah. I know that I've come across a few like Christmas choir things, and that was a lot of women who were working in the office. I don't know a ton of stories about women's clubs or anything like that.
We'll find them.
We will. We definitely will.
If you are a female and you're listening and you know of, just like you were saying, whether it's a league or a Girl Scout troop or whatever, whose foundation was steel or steel workers, please let us know. If you are running right now, please let us know. Julia wants to lift up your history. That's
I do.
So fun.
Absolutely. And I know that women were definitely involved in the unions.
Yes, they were.
Absolutely involved in the unions. And actually one of our board members, MJ, is a female steel worker, and she worked in steel for her whole career. And really was a door opener, I think, for a lot of women in her field.
Shout out to her.
Yes, MJ rocks.
Yeah, shout out to MJ. I look forward to coming to visit you. I know when I said on Instagram, I was like, hopefully I will go Instagram Live. I will go Instagram Live for a portion and then encourage y'all to come down. And I know that we were on an email inviting other folks there, but I know there was something that you had said that really had excited me. And I know that a lot of feminists and people who use that word, or people who support gender equity and these type of conversations relative to industries that are traditionally male-dominated stories, right? They use this archetype of Rosie the Riveter.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Who I would say Rosie the Riveter. So tell me about how you're lifting up that legacy too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we all know, or I shouldn't assume, but, Rosie's went to work in the factories when men were away at war during World War II. So women actually did go in to the steel plants and worked, and I have beautiful photographs of women like welding like gears, and it's amazing. It's really, really cool. So that ties in with our Rosie the Riveter event that we have, and we like to champion and celebrate these women who this is what was their duty. And
I got dressed up for them today.
It's amazing. Absolutely.
Thank
you are
you.
Channeling Rosie.
I got dressed up for them today. I was like, I'm going to put my patriotic outfit on because they really stepped up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think that was one of the first generations that really engaged with large-scale organized childcare. And this idea that you have to leave your kid at home, go to the factory, and then come back.
And then come back and be a mom and cook dinner and do all of that.
And wear pearls and high heels while you did it all.
Exactly. And killing it, by the way. But, it's exhausting sometimes.
Exactly. Some of the physical
So
work.
I've, with this event, I met the most amazing woman. Her name is Alice. At the time of the event, she was 100 years old. And she, I think, was like 4 foot tall, exactly. Tiny little thing.
Let's go.
And her job was to crawl up into the nose of an airplane. She worked at Bell Aircraft and hold it in place. And then the other girls would be like riveting and like drilling it in around her. I mean, like, could you imagine?
And the danger at
Right.
that
No
time.
ear protection. She can't hear a thing now. Probably no glasses.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if OSHA was a thing.
I don't think
it
likely
was.
not. My
I think
political
it was
science
like
spidey
50s or
senses
60s
are saying
maybe,
no,
but
it was
so not quite. But
well, I think
incredible.
that there are so many stories, and I think one of the things that empowers me the most, and one of the core inspirations for the space that we build is stories about different diverse communities. And I know that there was a very large influence of the African American community in steel, period. The Latino community. We came from Puerto Rico to Bethlehem Steel. I always want to acknowledge. I think I told you Casimiro and other people who are leaders, who their parents and family built community and industry around there. I know that the center of my universe is the West Side, which is where we are, right? But I didn't know that Latinos first settled in South Buffalo in that way. And if you look at where the plants were,
that's
exactly.
That's where it was. That was So I just want to like open it up to anybody who wants to come and share their stories.
Yes.
That's what we are hungry for. We just want to get as many stories and as many names in our living steelworkers registry, because
that's awesome. High five
history
for that.
is so important
because it's alive right now. That's awesome. That's a very powerful thing. Willie, what are your reflections on that? Do you have any connections to people who were related to steel, or was that like a thing when you first came to Buffalo?
No, I really didn't know about Buffalo history. I'm sorry, ladies.
No, it's okay.
That's okay.
Only
you're here, so
yeah, I got to learn.
Know that you have the benefit of listening to us, because like we're really ingrained in it, and we're being able to have this conversation because you're giving us your time. So that's why I always want to like go back to your lived experience and reflections, because I think that what the steel industry has been has grown and evolved even since, like, I would say 1980, which it was now like what, 35 years ago or something. People are like 50 years. I don't know,
like almost 40 maybe.
A long time ago, right? And that was like the base year for all of my family stories. They're like, well, in 1980, I'm like, Mom, wait, what? So my mom, again, Union girl, her Irish family worked on the railroad here in Western New York. My great grandfather, he died working on the railroad. He was actually hit by two great-grandfather, Louis Carey, hit by a train.
My goodness.
And when I was in law school, I was so motivated to use what the legal skills that I had to help me understand my genealogy that I'm like in these records from Buffalo, like from whatever on Ancestry.com. So the fact that one, you have a living registry of people who are still lifting up steel and all of the industries that feed into it is amazing. But that two, you have like this dynamic with history, I think is cool.
Yeah.
So Rosie the Riveter, can they follow you on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay.
But I need to be better at posting on our Instagram. Our Facebook right now is our primary source.
Facebook. And then they'll be able to see this interview on Facebook.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that I want to achieve for you in the space that we have left is to say that part of the reason why I think you're here is because you're inviting more content and stories and, you know, anyone that wants to send you anything. And now, like, I'm hopefully going to be on this journey to, like, encourage people to do that because I think that that's beautiful what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So tell me really quickly, in what neighborhood is the Steel Museum? And what was, like, your first experience as a boss, right? Because they're so important to have females leading culturals. We have the very serious privilege of having a strong female presence. Shout out to those who are leading, you know, the Buffalo History Museum. Love that. Like, what does it feel like to be the boss of an institution when you're calling places and you're like, yes, I'm the head curator? What is that like?
It's cool. I guess I don't know. I never really reflected on this too much, but it is exciting. It's because I'm proud of myself. I worked really hard to get here and I love the work that I'm doing and it's exciting, and you can tell that I'm pretty proud of this steel
and you're
plant.
an expert, right? So, and I think as an academic, I want to carve that out. You came here to study history and curation, and you're an expert in this field. Yeah. And I know that people probably aren't used to that term being associated with our tone. Like when I call people and I'm like, yeah, da da da, and they're like, you, and I'm like, yes. And I try to like put like a more burly tone on or something.
Hello.
So they can believe me. Have you ever had that moment with like a little girl or someone that's come into your universe that when you tell her that like you're the boss or that you're the one that gets to make that decision, she gets like motivated or inspired? I call it like the moment.
Not yet, but
That's
I'm
so
like
exciting.
I'm longing for that. That will be exciting.
It's gonna happen, and you'll recognize it when it does.
Yes. I think my little girl self would be like super proud too, just because.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't read until 3rd grade, Talia.
High five for that. Shout out to Ms. Gilbert. She stayed after with me in 1st grade.
Oh,
so
yes,
you needed to say that though in this space so that other of our students and our Bengal community can hear that. So spend the next 3 minutes talking about what it was like for you to learn and then what that means for you now to lead a place that without the written word, I mean, that's the basis of the culture that you're curating.
And I hated reading.
Me too.
My dad was in the military and was deployed to Iraq when I was in 2nd grade and then into 3rd grade. And I just like couldn't not think about his mortality at like 7, 8 years old.
You were at war with him,
right. And that's, you know, so I just couldn't. It just felt frivolous.
Sometimes.
It felt frivolous to read, right?
Like,
I don't know. That's how I would describe it now.
I remember trying to figure out, I was like, do I really need to learn how to read? Because I know where the corner store is at. I'm making moves over here. I got things in motion. I'm 7, 8 years old.
Right. I was really busy, you know, like you don't have to read when you're playing Polly Pocket and Barbie. So like I was fine, but like when my dad came home and he's, you know, was safely home.
It's a transition for everyone.
Immediately I went from like the bottom reading group to the top. Like I remember my 3rd grade teacher, Mr. Bennett, was like the sweetest man on the planet. And he pulled me in the hall and I thought I was in trouble. And I was like, oh my God, I think I did anything. And he was like, Julia, you are so smart and you are reading and you're amazing. And I just like jumped up to the top and haven't stopped reading ever since.
So you stand, as we close the show, you stand in the nexus of millions of families. Like for all those little girls who their dads are either deployed right now or like, you know, in the service of our country or were, you know, you represent them. And then also the children of the steel plant workers, that's millions of people and Bengals. You're doing a pretty good job, Julia.
Thank you.
One piece of advice for those people who are listening who you feel like you want to lift up.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like you gave a good one.
just read. I mean, read,
Just
but
read.
also always
Yes.
just do your best and be nice.
And I can say as we close the show, as a person who's bilingual who had a fluid reading journey, it's okay to tell someone that you don't understand it.
Mhm.
That's okay, and you're going to be a stronger learner when you do.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in with us at SUNY Buffalo State University. We're really proud of Julia in the Western New York Steel Plant, and make sure you follow her on Facebook and watch our interviews live Friday morning. Thank you.
Latinas.
Bye now.
Latinas make history every day. Okay.
Time for the dope. She likes to deceive.